Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Matt, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about the weapon progression system in Battlefield 1 and why I think it's better than previous Battlefield games, namely Battlefield 3 and 4. You know, the main problem that Battlefield 3 and 4's weapon progression system had is that 90% of the attachments that you'd unlock would end up being completely useless and obsolete. A lot of people complain that Battlefield needs more customization options in the game, and I'd agree in some ways. Battlefield 4 especially had way too many attachments that did the exact same thing and didn't really change the performance of the gun, and it didn't matter anyways because most people stuck to one or two of the foregrips, and once they found a combo that worked the best, they just stuck with that combo for the rest of the time they played the game. I very rarely saw a potato grip iron V and suppressor combo. It's a really good combo, you should try it out. The great thing about Battlefield 1 I found is that the weapons have a pre-made setting that affects the performance of the gun. For the MP18 for example, the experimental version of the gun is burst fire but has better accuracy and control, opposed to the artillery preset of the gun, which is less controllable and less accurate, but it's full auto for the trigger happy people, which is nice. Having said that, there's still the ability to customize your weapons, although we don't get to see it in the beta, as I assume DICE is still working out the actual attachments that will be included in the full game and the bugs and such that they will need to fix. Even though you'll be able to customize your weapons, I do think we'll see a lot more variety to what players will choose. Maybe some attachments will be exclusive to a certain preset, such as the MP18 experimental, whereas you won't find the same attachment for the artillery version of the gun. I think that would be a cool idea. Nice. Players would kind of have to sacrifice a possible good attachment for their preferable preset of a certain gun. This new system is also really nicely mixed into the war bonds currency type thing they have going on for Battlefield 1. You know, similar to Hardline, you can buy certain weapons rather than unlocking them through progression and having to wait years to unlock the weapon that you actually want. I think this is a great way to eliminate the attachment unlocks through battle packs and rather have them be unlockable through war bonds, as that's one thing I hated the most about Battlefield 4's battle packs, was unlocking attachments for guns I would never fucking use, like a FLIR sight for the U100 MK5. Like, what the fuck, DICE? Come on. I also think that the weapons in Battlefield 1 won't have as many attachments, as World War 1 was kind of limited in that fashion, but I do think DICE will bring in a lot of the experimental attachments and weapons that weren't necessarily fully functional in World War 1 and create their own spin off of it. I think that would be really cool. You know, after reading a bit of the weapons of World War 1, one stood out to me as really cool. It's called the Delacile Silent Carbine. I think that's how you pronounce it. I could be wrong. Could be some weird fucking French name. I don't even know. I'll link the video above right there. It looks really cool as it's completely silent. Like, you can't even fucking hear this thing. It's really sweet. Even though when you shoot in Battlefield 1 you don't show up on the radar, but I still think it would be really cool to stay completely silent. Maybe that would incorporate nicely into night maps for Battlefield 1 or snow maps, as no one could really see you. You wouldn't have a flash or anything like that, and it would be super cool to see. And it kind of reminds me of the AS Val or CS5 from Battlefield 4, that weird fucking sniper that no one used from the DLC. I think it was Dragon's Teeth it came out in, but it was kind of a weird sniper, but no one really used it. And yeah, but it kind of reminds me of that. I think bringing in weapons like this is a really cool idea, even though they weren't used frequently in the battles of World War 1. But I'll also leave a link to a Reddit post that I found that has an hour-long video of every single weapon used in World War 1, whether they were experimental or not, just to give an idea of what we might see in the full release of the DLC of the game. You have to watch the whole hour though. There's so many weapons. The cool thing about Battlefield 1 is a lot of the weapons aren't going to be predictable in terms of DLC weapons because they really haven't been seen before in video games. In Battlefield 3 and 4, we were kind of familiar with the variants like the M4 and other variants similar, like AKs and stuff like that. So most were able to predict that we would get some type of modern weapons used in today's military. But because there were so many weapons used in World War 1, it's going to be really hard to pick out what weapons we'll see and what we won't see, and I'm excited to see what comes. Another thing is a lot of the leaks that we found in the DLCs for Battlefield 3 and 4 brought out the names of the weapons, so it was easy to just type that in and find out what it was called and what it looks like, and then pictures would surface about that. But the nice thing about Battlefield 1 is a lot of the weapons probably aren't going to be called the exact same thing they were called back in World War 1 for licensing reasons and stuff like that, and maybe the DICE won't be allowed to use that kind of shit, so they might have to call it something else. So even if you type that into Google, you might not find anything, which is also really cool. So it may be a big surprise for a lot of people when the DLC actually does roll around and we see what weapons we actually do get. But anyways guys, that's about it for today. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you leave a like down below. I really appreciate the support on the last few videos. It's been really nice. I like to read you guys' comments, stuff like that. Follow me on Twitter for updates and shit like that, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Let me know down below what you guys think about the weapon progression system in Battlefield 1 and what weapons you hope to see make it into the game and into the DLC. Thanks again for the last fucking time, guys. I'll see you later.
Once upon a time not long ago, when people wore pajamas and lived life slow, where laws were stern and justice stood, and people were behaving like they ought to good, they lived a little